guys, it's Cheyenne here with Soft Crochet Times, and today we're going to be making a really cute little stuffed turtle. So I was actually commissioned to do this by a coworker of mine, and I know that turtles are normally green, brown, that kind of sort of color scheme. However, I was requested to do a pink and purple turtle. So those are the colors that we're going to be using today, but you can feel free to use any colors you want. It's your turtle. So with that being said, the materials we're going to need today is worsted weight yarn. I have my two colors. I have my dark purple, which is Walmart Basic brand, and then I have a pink, which is Crafter's Secret, which is also worsted weight. And then I have my scissors, my needles, a 3.5 millimeter crochet hook, a stitch marker, and then I have some safety eyes. So with that being said, let's get started. Alright, so we're going to start by doing the shell in the dark purple. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a magic circle, and I do it by wrapping the yarn around my fingers 3 times, putting my hook underneath, pulling that very top loop through, removing my fingers, and that's the circle. So we're just going to yarn over and pull through that very loose loop that's on our hook. And then we have 2 little circles that we're going to put together to work into. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to work 6 single crochets into this circle. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I forgot to mention it before, but you're also going to need some polyfill for your turtle. It's actually what you use to, fill the turtle. This is the kind that I use. I get it from a local store around here. It is recycled fiber, and it fills very well. I use it in a lot of different things. The only thing I wouldn't use it for is something that is pure white or has a lot of holes, because as you can see, it is multicolored, but it's super cheap compared to normal fill. Normal fill, a bag like that might run you 10-15 bucks. I got that bag for, I think it was about $3. So by the way, for any Mainers out there, that store would be Martin's, believe it or not. And Martin's is pretty much just a surplus salvage store that we have around here. Very popular local chain, but that's where I find mine. So if you have a surplus salvage store or something like that near you, it might not hurt to go check and see if they have something like that. It's definitely beats trying to spend $15 to stuff some stuffed animals. Alright, with my little rant being over, I've gone ahead and put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 single crochets. Now we're going to close up our magic circle. We're going to do that by pulling the yarn a little bit, seeing which circle gets smaller. Clearly it was this one. Now we're going to go ahead and pull that one until it closes up, and then we are going to pull the tail. Alrighty. So, when you're making stuffed animals, you do not slip stitch like you do working in rounds normally, like if you're making a hat or something like that. You're actually going to go right into that first stitch, and you're going to just start your second round. So you're going to yarn over and just single crochet. So this is going to be our increase round, so we're going to do 2 single crochets in every stitch around. So I'm going to go ahead and do 1 more single crochet into that same stitch. And then I'm going to take my stitch marker and I'm going to go ahead and put it through that first stitch we made. That way we know when this round ends and the next round starts. So by the end of this round, you should have 12 single crochet. Alright, so there's 3, 4, 5, 6, and just go ahead and continue until you reach your stitch marker. You should be having 12 by the end of it. Alright, so I have my 12 stitches, so I'm going to go ahead and remove my stitch marker, and this is the start of round 3. Always make sure you replace your stitch marker. It is very important. You will get lost, you will get confused. Just trust me. I know sometimes it can be a pain in the butt during these early rows. It is definitely worth your time. So starting round 3, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to do 2 single crochets into that stitch the stitch marker was just in. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to do 1 single crochet. So 1 single crochet into the next stitch. Alright, so that's 3 stitches that I've done so far. I'm going to go ahead and put my stitch marker into that first stitch that we did. Make sure it stays. Alright, so for this round we're going to do 2 single crochet in a stitch and then 1 single crochet. 2 single crochet, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1 all the way around. So at the end of this you should have 18 stitches. So I just did 1 single crochet into that stitch. So now I'm going to go ahead and do 2 single crochets into this stitch. Alright. And then 1 into the next. And then 2 into the next one after that. And just go ahead and keep going until you get to the end of this round. I like to start my rounds on an increase where I put the 2 single crochets into one stitch, and the reason why I like doing that is because you will know if you messed up. If you get to the end and if you're doing this round where you have 1 single crochet, double crochet, 1 single, you're going to end on the 1 single crochet in this stitch. If you don't, if you end on an increase or something like that, you know you messed up because it's not following the pattern. At this point it's pretty easy to see when you messed up, but when you get to a bigger circle, it'll be your best friend pretty much to make sure your stitch count is right without having to count around every single time. So go ahead and continue working around until you have your 18 stitches, then I'll show you how to move on to the next round. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've done my 3rd round. Now we're going to go ahead and continue, and we're going to remove our stitch marker, start with an increase, so 2 single crochets into this first stitch, and then we're going to put 1 single crochet into the next 2 stitches. So 1 single crochet in this stitch, and then 1 single crochet into the next stitch. And then I'm going to go ahead and go 4 stitches back, that's how many I've done in this row so far, and place my stitch marker. Right, so same pattern we were following before, except for we're adding another single crochet. So we're increasing, so 2 single crochets into this stitch, and then we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then 2 single crochets. And keep going all the way around until you finish this row. At the end of this row you should have about 24 stitches. Alright, so I completed that row. Go ahead and remove the stitch marker. Then we're going to do 2 single crochets into that same stitch. And then we're going to go ahead and do 3 single crochets into the next 3 stitches. So 1, 2, and 3. And then we're going to put our stitch marker back first. Just put that back 5 stitches because that's how many I've done so far. The increase plus the 3. Then I'm going to increase into the next stitch, so that's 2 single crochets into this stitch. And then go ahead and do 3 singles into the next 3 stitches. So that's 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to do an increase. So 2 single crochets into that next stitch, and then 3 singles into the next 3 stitches, and just go ahead and continue that around until you get to the stitch marker. I'll catch up with you there. Alright guys, so I've gone ahead and finished that row, and I'm going to go ahead and let you guys skip ahead a little bit. And what I mean by that is I want you to do 5 more rows of increasing like we have been. So if you notice, we went from increase, single crochet, increase, single crochet, to increase, single crochet, single crochet, increase, single crochet, single crochet. So every round you go up, you're just adding another single crochet into the spaces in between the increases. So like this round we just did an increase, 3 singles, and then an increase. The next round you're going to do an increase, 4 singles and an increase, and then after that you're going to do increase, 5 singles, increase, keep going. So you're going to do that for another 5 rounds, and then I'll meet up with you there. Alright, now that we've finished those 5 rows, let's go ahead and remove our stitch marker, and then we're going to just do 1 single crochet all the way around. And this is just because we're trying to get a little bit of height to our turtle shell now. We don't want it just to be one all flat piece. So go ahead and single crochet all the way around, and then I'll meet up with you and show you how to continue on. Your piece should look something like this now, so we're just going to go ahead and do 5 more rows of the single crochet all the way around, just to make sure that we have a nice rounded shell for our turtle. So go ahead and complete 5 rows of just single crocheting around, and then I'll show you how we're going to start finishing up the shell. Alright, so we've gone ahead and completed those rows of single crochet, and now what we're going to do is we're going to start decreasing to close up our turtle shell. So for your first row of decreasing, I'm going to go ahead and remove my stitch marker. You're going to be doing 8 single crochets and then a decrease, and I'll show you how to do that. But the only thing that's different about this row is that we're going to be doing it in the back loop only. So if you can see, there are 2 sides of each stitch. There's the one that's nearest to you, and there's the one that's further away. So we're going to be working into just the loop that's further away. So the one that's running along the inside. So go ahead and yarn over. Go ahead and insert your hook into just the back loop. Just go ahead and insert your hook into the back loop. Pull through, yarn over, and pull through. So as you can see, we're working just into that back loop. So go ahead and do 8 single crochets. Make sure you keep an eye on where your stitch marker goes, that way you don't lose track. So we're still working in just the back loops. You're going to go ahead and insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through. So now you have 2 loops on your hook, but instead of finishing the single crochet, you're going to go ahead and just go into the next stitch. Yarn over and pull through. Then you have 3 loops on your hook, you're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. So essentially what you just did is you made 2 stitches become 1, that way your piece can start getting smaller. That way this top part, well, what's going to be the bottom, can start closing up. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and continue with 8 single crochets just in the back loop. Alright, now it's time for a decrease again. Get a little bit closer. Alright, so in the back loop, push through, yarn over, pull through, and then we're not finishing the stitch, we're going into the next one. So push through, yarn over, pull through. Now you have 3 on your hook, and just go through and go ahead and pull them. Alright, so there's your second decrease. So just go ahead and keep going all the way around, and then I'll meet up with you on the other side. Alright, now that I've gone ahead and finished that round, we're just going to go ahead and we're going to do 7 single crochet to start off the next round. So 1, and you are working in both loops this round, not just the back loop. So 2, 3, oh, split the yarn, isn't that a pain? 4, 5, 6, and 7. Alright. So go ahead, make sure you have your stitch marker in place. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now there are 7 single crochets. We're going to go ahead and decrease. So once again, we're just going into the first loop, or under the first stitch, yarn over, pull through, right, into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over and pull through all 3. Alright, so go ahead and continue doing that all the way around. You're going to do 7 single crochets, a decrease, 7 single crochets, a decrease, all the way around. And then this is going to follow the same pattern that the increasing did, just in reverse. So your next row is going to be 6 single crochets and a decrease, 6 single crochets and a decrease. And then after that, 5, 4, 3. So go ahead and keep working until you get to the round that has 3 single crochets and a decrease. At the beginning of that round, we're going to come back and I'll show you how to start stuffing. Alright, so I'm at the beginning of the single crochet 3 times and then decrease round. And this is my little turtle shell so far. If you can tell, the reason why we did the back loop only round here is that it really does help it lay a lot flatter. That way it's not rounded. We want a turtle with a flat bottom shell, not a ball. So we still have a pretty wide open hole, but I like to use this opportunity to do the corners of the stuffing. We're doing a circle, so there's not really that many corners, but this is a good opportunity to get the bulk of your stuffing in. Because when you get smaller and smaller, you still want to be able to stuff it, that way you can, you know, finalize it, make sure it has enough stuffing in it. But it's really annoying trying to push big clumps of stuffing through a hole that big. So, pretty much you just want to take your stuffing and you do want to break it up a little bit. Nothing to make it lumpy, but you don't want, you know, just big clumps of stuffing put in there, because then you're going to have a lumpy turtle. And nobody wants a lumpy turtle. Alright, so just break up your stuffing. Go ahead and throw some in there. I like to use this opportunity to get around all the edges, that way you're not trying to fish around in there after when the hole is very small. And you also don't want to get too stuffed at this point, because if you do, as you're trying to work it, you're going to get the stuffing caught on your hook and it's going to make a really messy looking piece. So that looks pretty good for now. I have a nice little pocket in there. You know, all the edges are more or less partially stuffed. So I'm going to go ahead and keep crocheting. And I'm going to start on the round where we're doing 3 single crochets, decrease, 3 single crochets, decrease, 3 single crochets, decrease. Alright, so go ahead and keep decreasing until you're doing 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, and then I'll pick up with you guys there. Alright, so I'm at the start of the row that's going to be 1 single crochet, decrease, 1 single crochet, decrease. So you can see this hole's gotten a lot smaller. So we're just going to go ahead and stuff a little bit more. I really think it's important to stuff as you're going, because a lot of patterns say to stuff at the very end, and that can make it very hard to make sure your stuffing is evenly distributed. And with this, it's very important that you don't overstuff it. You do want a nice rounded turtle shell, but you don't want to push the bottom out too much. You want to make sure that the bottom still can stay pretty flat. And we are going to go ahead after this and do the round of 1 single crochet and then a decrease. And then at the very end of that round, right before we do the last round before closing it up, we are going to add just a little bit more stuffing, make sure every little nook and cranny is full. So here's what my turtle shell looks like so far. As you can see on the profile, it's rounded on the top and relatively flat on the bottom. Alright, now let's go ahead and do that next round. Taking out the stitch marker. And we're doing 1 single crochet and a decrease. And then 1 single crochet and then a decrease. So just go ahead and do that around, and then I'll show you guys how to finish it up. Alright, so we're on the very last round. If you feel like your shell needs any extra stuffing at this point, just go ahead and stuff a little bit more. Like I said before, make sure you're not overstuffing, because you definitely don't want too much of a rounded turtle shell bottom. You don't want it to look like your turtle's just a little ball. So now for the last round, we're just going to decrease all the way around. And then just keep going until you should have about 6 stitches left. It can get a little tricky to work it at this point because the yarn's starting a little bit tight. You know, you have very limited working space. But that's the best part about the last round, is that it's the last round. So now you're going to go ahead and pull a long tail for your yarn. And then just go ahead and pull your tail through. Alright, now I'm going to take one of my yarn needles. Now you're pretty much just going to put the needle through every one of the stitches that you have left. Make sure you get them all, because you don't want a hole in the bottom of your turtle. Then you're just going to go ahead and pull it. So now it's closed. And then you're going to go ahead and just weave your yarn through just like you were finishing off pretty much anything else. Go through a couple stitches one way, go through a couple stitches the other way. And now the best part about making stuffed animals is that you can just push your needle into your work and then just kind of push it out anywhere on the side. Just be careful not to mess up your stitches. There you go. Pull the yarn through, and then you can just snip it. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to the head and the little fins. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start the head. Just as we had before, we're going to do a magic circle. So go ahead and wrap the yarn around 3 times, insert your hook underneath, pull the top loop through, and then you're going to go ahead and just yarn over and pull through that little loop on your hook. So now you're going to go ahead and put 6 single crochets into that circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now you're going to pull the tail a little bit, see which circle gets smaller, and then pull that circle. And that makes the little magic circle part. Then you're going to pull that tail to get rid of that second circle. And then you're just going to go ahead, and remember, we're not slip stitching at the end of each round. We're continuing to work in a round, so you're not slip stitching. So into that first single crochet that you made, right? So into that first one, you're going to go ahead and you're going to put 2 single crochets. Alright, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in every stitch around. Alright, so at the end of this round, you had 6 stitches, now you should have 12. Go ahead and remove your stitch marker. And if you have a hole in the middle like I do, just go ahead and pull your tail and it'll tighten that right up. That's the best part about the magic circle, is that you can tighten it up like that without having to worry about it coming undone and loosening up. Alright, so to start the next round, we're going to go ahead and we're going to do an increase, so 2 single crochets into that first stitch. Place your stitch marker, it's very important, I promise you. Alright, and then a single crochet into the next stitch, and then an increase, so 2 single crochets into that next stitch, and then just continue like that around. Alright, so at the end of this row you should have 18 stitches. And then we're going to go ahead for the next round and we're going to do an increase, 2 single crochets, an increase, 2 single crochets, an increase. So I'll meet up with you at the end of the next round. Alright, so I've gone ahead and I've finished that last row. So for the next part, it's really easy. You're going to do between 7 and 10 rows of single crochets. Just single crochets all the way around. The reason why I said 7 to 10 is because it kind of depends on how long you want your turtle's head. If you want just a little stubby head, you might want to go 7 inches, or sorry, 7 rows. If you want a little bit of a longer neck, you can go with 10. So it's really up to personal preference. Honestly, as long as it looks good to you, just placing it against your turtle, that's how big you want it. So I'll meet up with you on the other side and I'll let you know how many rows I decided to do for my specific turtle. Alright, so I went ahead and did 7 rows. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do a decrease. So we were doing down here where we did 2 single crochets and an increase. So we're going to do a decrease, and then we're going to do 2 single crochets in between. So decrease, 2 single crochets, and then a decrease. Alright, don't forget your stitch marker, it is very important. Alright, so then just go ahead and go all the way around, and then I'll show you how to move on from there. Alright, so now that we finished that decrease round, I think this is a pretty good size and shape for my little turtle head. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right here. And the next step would be picking our safety eyes. So since I'm going to do little eyelids on mine, I'm going to pick, they won't open. I'm going to pick a safety eye that's slightly bigger than what I would normally pick if I wasn't going to do little eyelids. So I have a whole array. I have little colored ones, I have regular ones. You know, you just kind of match. So I think it might be cute to do some little green eyes. Alright. So you need the safety eyes, you need the backing. And then you're just going to kind of pick where you think looks good. So I usually go right about the first round of single crochets between that round and the last increase round. So there's one. And then, let's see, maybe right here. That looks cute. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stick with that. So here's my backings. Alright. Then we're just going to go ahead and put these on. I can never get these things on no matter what I do. Alright, I'm going to need to recruit some help. Alright, so sorry about that, but I have the backings on my eyes now. See, that's what significant others are good for. Opening up jars, putting on your safety eyes, that kind of thing. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut it, leaving a pretty long tail, that way we can sew our head on. Alright, and then just pull this loop and remove your stitch marker. Alright. So here's my little turtle's face. So now we're going to go ahead and stuff the head. Alright, this one you can be a little bit more liberal with the stuffing on it because we're not trying to keep any parts of it flat. And I think that looks pretty good. So now I'm going to take my yarn needle, thread it through, and then we're going to go ahead and line up our turtle head. Trying to make sure it's as even as possible, as straight as possible. So now I'm going to take my needle. I'm just going to go ahead and sew around the head. The first couple stitches are always the hardest when it's really wiggly and doesn't know where it wants to stay. But yeah, so you're just going to go into one stitch of this, then wherever you think the closest stitch on the body is. This can be a lot easier if you're using the same color for the head and body because you don't have to worry about those stitches standing out. When you're doing different colors like I am, you definitely want to make sure that you're stitching as close to the head as possible. That way you don't have random little pink lines everywhere. And as you're working, make sure you're pulling your stitches, that way they're nice and straight and not all lumpy. Alright, so just go ahead and stitch around, attaching your head, and then we'll move on to the little fins. Alright, so here's my little turtle so far, little safety eyes, little shell. And the next thing we're going to be working on is the little front fins. So for the little front fins, we're going to go ahead and do a magic circle. So wrap the yarn around your middle fingers 3 times. Go ahead and pull that top loop through. And then slip stitch. Alright, and then you have the little circles. Same procedure as before. Go ahead and do 6 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, and then we're going to pull a little tail, see which circle gets smaller. We see it was this one, so go ahead and pull that one to close up the circle a little bit, then pull the tail. Alright, and once again, like before, we're working in rounds, we're not slip stitching, so don't slip stitch. You're going to go ahead and you're going to single crochet into that first stitch, and then we're actually just doing this for a little while. We're going ahead and we're just doing 6 all the way around. Go ahead and do that for 5 rows. So we're just doing 6 single crochets in a round for 5 rows, and then I'll show you how to continue after that. Alright, so I've gone ahead and done my rows, and now what you're going to do is you're going to do 1 decrease with the next 2 stitches. Okay, there's a decrease, and then you're going to do 4 increases. Alright, so there's 1 increase, two increase, 3 increase, and then this will be our 4th. Alright, and if you can see it, your little fin should be starting to curve. So now you're just going to go ahead and you're just going to single crochet around for 4 rows. And then you're going to go ahead and make 2 of these, and then I'll show you how to attach them and then move on to the back. Alright, so I've gone ahead and finished off my little fin. I'm going to cut a long tail for sewing, and then pull the loop out. Alright, and with this, we're not stuffing it, we're leaving it flat. And if you have a tail end for your yarn that from when you first started, just go ahead and push that right back into it. So as you can see, we have a little curved fin or flipper, whatever you want to call it. And I usually like mine to be a little bit more bent. And the way that I do that, so take the yarn, take the needle, then we're going to go ahead and we're just going to insert our needle right down into where it curves. Okay? And then we're pretty much just going to insert it back about 1 stitch down, pull our needle back, and we're just going to give it a little bit of a pull. And it kind of creates more of a little bend. Alright, and now we're just going to sew this on. You do want to sew them on towards the bottom. So like right there I think is good. Maybe 3 to 4 stitches, maybe 5 away from the head. And then you just start sewing. Make sure that your curve is facing towards the back of the turtle, because that's how they swim. They have their little fins facing that way. Alright, and then we're just going to go ahead and we're going to sew this on just like we did with the head. So make sure you have 2 of these fins, make 2 of them, sew 2 of them on, and then I'll show you how to do the little tail fins. Alright, so I just went ahead and did my other little fin, and now we're going to move on to doing the two back ones. So we're going to start with a magic loop again, 3 times around your finger, go up and grab that top one, pull it through, yarn over, and pull through. Alright, so now we're going to do 8 single crochets into this circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, this is going to be the same process as when we started all the other pieces. You're going to close up your magic circle, and you're going to be working in rounds, so no slip stitching. And you're just going to work 3 rounds of single crochet. Alright, so go ahead and do that, and I'll meet up with you at the end to show you how you sew it on, and we're going to do the eyebrows, well, I guess eyelids last, and then we should have a finished turtle. Alright, so I made my 2 little legs, and we just did that by doing the magic circle with 8 in it, pulling the magic circle closed, and then doing the 3 rows of single crochet. So this is probably just about where I'm going to end up placing my little legs, but instead of showing you guys how to sew those on, because I've shown you how to sew on all the other pieces, I'm going to show you guys how to do the little eyelids. I like little eyelids because I think, first of all, I think they look cute. Second of all, I think that the safety eyes just being perfectly round look a little silly sometimes. So in order to do this, it's very easy. We're going to go ahead and do a slip knot. So make a little loop, push a little bit of the skein, yarn still attach the skein through, and then pull it tight. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and chain 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to just, we'll see how it looks against the eye. I think I'm going to chain just 1 extra, so I think I'm going to do 5. And then you're just going to leave a long enough tail for sewing. Cut it. Pull the loop off. So that's all we have so far. Just that little strand of 5 chains on a big old string. Alright, so then we're going to go ahead and we're going to do the same thing again. Slip knot. Push a little bit of yarn through. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to chain 5 again. Alright. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once again, leaving long enough for sewing, and pull it through. So now I have my 2 little eyebrows done, and I'm going to go ahead and just kind of see how I want them positioned. So I usually just like them kind of laying across the top like that. So we're going to take our yarn needle and we're going to thread it through. Then we're just going to put it on however we like it. And then we're just going to sew it on. Alright, so once you get that sewed on, go ahead and do the other one. And then it'll be time for us to wrap up. Alright guys, so here's our finished little turtle. All I did was attach the back legs. And you can customize these any ways you want. You could add little bows, you can change the color of them. Like I said, I only did this one in pink and purple because that's what my friend asked me to do. I am making this for somebody. But here's our little friend. So I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and if you like this video, please like, comment, share, subscribe, all that other good stuff. Make sure you guys are letting me know what you want to see in your future tutorials. I want to make sure that I'm making things that you guys will want to make as well. And if you want to share photos with me or message me on Facebook, feel free. I do have an Instagram, and I would love to see any photos that you guys are making. If you guys make this pattern or any other pattern that I have out, I really love to see that you guys are using the tutorials and that you guys are making your own little creations and which way you're spinning them or how you would do something different. With that being said, I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy your little turtles. Make sure you keep the plastic out of the ocean, everything like that. So with that, thank you for watching, and keep on stitching.